That makes it sound too long. I'm gonna grab Marcy.
Perfect. Hi. Spokesman's in town. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah. I'm glad you're able to find it. So we looks like we're just getting
No, I will say that I sort of got thrown into the sun a little bit, so I'm not.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So we'll have the press conference over here, and then afterwards we're going to sit around.
Sure.
We'll walk through a bit of the
Yeah, I need to like stick around.
and then we can do walk and talk stuff. So
Sure. Okay.
wonderful. No worries. We'll give you a second set up. Okay, yeah.
thumbs up. Come on up here. Come over here. I'll stand over here. They can stand next to Ben.
Just stand in the center.
Oh, right here? Yeah, please. Yeah, there we go. Okay. You ready? Yep. Oh, okay. I'll let you tell me when. All right.
All right, everyone, we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you all so much for being here this morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Spokane Mayor Lisa Brown. Really happy to be here with Senator Cantwell today. We're also joined by Ben Stuckert of the Spokane Low-Income Housing Consortium, Jonathan Mallahan from Catholic Charities, and residents of Sister Haven and Gonzaga Family Haven, Lilia, Cecilia, and Marcy. I think we have Lilia and Marcy here right now. Like most cities around the country, Spokane is facing an affordable housing crisis. We need more housing and we need it quickly. Today, we're happy to be here with Senator Cantwell, calling on the U.S. Senate to pass the bipartisan tax package that will significantly boost the low-income housing tax credit program that the senator has been a champion of for many years. This low-income housing tax credit program has already been an important resource for affordable housing, and we are gathering today in a space that was made possible because of the program. Senator Cantwell's efforts to expand it will only make matters better. Now, there are several benefits to expanding what we know as LIHTC, or the tax credit program. It increases affordable housing supply through new construction and rehabilitation of existing housing. It incentivizes the private sector. We have developers who want to help and are ready with this assistance to putting the capital together to build the housing. It's an economic stimulus through job creation, the construction, the property management, the good jobs, the organized labor that's involved in building the housing. And it's community and economic development, as you can see right here in this neighborhood. Affordable housing is critical for vibrant and inclusive communities. So the city is already working on our own efforts to increase affordable housing supply, and we'll have a few announcements on that in the weeks ahead, but we can't do it by ourselves. We need this legislation. It means so much to us to know that Senator Cantwell's here today advocating for this here and back in Washington, D.C. I want to thank her for her work to benefit our state, and I'm now going to pass things on to Ben Stuckert.
Good morning. My name is Ben Stuckert, and I'm here representing the Spokane Low-Income Housing Consortium. The Housing Consortium represents over 25 agencies in Spokane that manage, own, and have built over 7,000 low-income housing units in our region. The Housing Consortium has members that are credit unions, for-profit development companies, architects, nonprofit development companies, and we believe that everybody has the right to an affordable home. We also believe that the most credible and cost-efficient way to build more low-income housing is the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program. And we have Senator Cantwell to thank for all of her work on this program in the past, but most importantly for her current edition of the two provisions in the bipartisan tax package. Every year, Spokane gets low-income housing tax credit projects using one project using 9% credits. We are at a future location now that will be built by Catholic Charities in partnership with the Sailor School and others in our community. Included in Senator Cantwell's changes in return is a return of percentages to the 9% program. That will specifically mean larger projects getting funded each year in Spokane. We can expect 15 more units a year from this one small change just in Spokane alone, and thousands statewide and countrywide, and this will be happening everywhere. The other change is the bond coverage, lowering the 50% to 30% when we used to have 50% coverage on 4% projects. That all sounds like gobbledygook, and I don't really understand it, but what it means is that more projects will happen across the state, and we hope more competitive projects will happen here in Spokane using the 4% tax credit. A Across the low-income housing perspective, we know two things. We need more low-income housing. There are more people on waiting lists in Spokane County than we have total units of low-income housing. If you just think about that, there are more people that need it than there are housing for all low-income individuals in Spokane County. And it is an average of 3 years on a wait list. If you do everything right, you're spending 3 years until you can get into housing. And secondly, we know that if we want to attend to the twin crises of mental health and substance abuse, which are very real issues, you need to get people into housing first. All of the data shows this to be true. And right in front of us, with Senator Cantwell's bipartisan additions, we have solutions in front of us. With the city of Spokane being led by a new mayor and Lisa Brown, focusing on building more affordable housing and getting money out the door, and our senator leading the way with changes at the federal level, we are confident that other legislators will follow their lead and get to building more housing. Thanks to everyone for having the Housing Consortium here today, and cheers to voting yes on these important measures. I'd like to now introduce Jonathan Malahan, the Chief Housing Officer for Catholic Charities.
Good morning. Thank you all so much for joining us here today at Mother Teresa Haven. At Catholic Charities, our mission is to support human dignity and to serve our region's most vulnerable. Mother Teresa Haven is an example of how this important, one of the most important ways we fulfill this mission through providing supportive, affordable housing. Tonight, over 5,000 people across Eastern Washington will go to sleep in their homes provided by Catholic Charities. These safe, affordable homes wouldn't be possible without the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program, which has been responsible for the construction of over 3.5 million affordable homes since the program's inception. And over 1,700 new affordable homes will be created this year alone in Washington State because of this great program. Today, we're standing on a campus with over 384 affordable homes for families across 3 different properties, all of which have been developed with the support of the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program. We're excited that we'll be adding an additional 72 homes thanks to our amazing partnership with the Salish School. River Family Haven will open in just a few short months, about 20 months. We'll be welcoming new homes to their new families to their new homes. We're thankful for the support of leaders like Mayor Lisa Brown, who've helped make these projects a reality through her work leading the Department of Commerce, and who's already providing a renewed energy and focus at the City of Spokane to grow housing in our community. We're also thankful for Senator Cantwell's ongoing and longtime support of the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program and her leadership role in ensuring that the recent bipartisan tax bill has significant steps to increase the production of LIHTC housing. Although the number of units created in this program is really impressive, it's a large number, a huge impact, there's a better way to illustrate the meaningful impact of the LIHTC program, and that's through the stories of the residents who have made these communities their home. I'm so thankful to Lilia and Marcy, all residents of Catholic Charities housing communities, for joining us today and their willingness to share their powerful stories. So Lilia, if I could introduce you and have you come up to the podium. Lilia Dmitriev.
Hello, my name is Lilia Dmitriev. I am a resident here, and when I was approached to present this and speak for the residents, my mind just scrambled, like, what do I say? There's so much to share. There's so many things that have been going on, so much stories, but just a little bit about myself. So, due to religious persecution, at the age of 2, my family immigrated from the Soviet Union. And even though I grew up here in America, my life was very much immersed in the Slavic community, like culturally. And eventually at the age of 19, I got married and started having children. Well, and life wasn't always easy. In fact, it got really hard. Things got difficult in my family. But when I would reach out for help to my community, they admitted that they didn't know how to help. And unfortunately, they enabled certain behaviors which made it really hard to leave or get some sort of healing and help. So I realized that I'm going to have to find a way to do this myself, going against the grain, because they didn't really like that. So if it wasn't for the deep faith of my father and mother and how they raised and prayed for their children and instilled the faith into 9 children I had growing up, in my family, I would have nothing to hold on to. I would have lost hope, and frankly, I wouldn't be standing here in front of you guys today sharing what God has done and the opportunities through Catholic Charities, the YWCA, and just the deliverance and grace in my life and my children's life. So just to share with you, after one particularly hard day, I escaped to like a McDonald's. I don't even remember what restaurant it was, but fast food. But I went into the restroom and there was a little phone number for DV hotline. And I took that number and I called it. And that is how I started like the whole journey to healing and restoration of my family. My children and I were able to get into a safe house through the YWCA. I was in tears about, all the support and the help that we were receiving. It didn't stop there. Even though I went back home several times, the YWCA still took us back in because the cycle would repeat. That's how I learned about the cycles of abuse. Eventually, through the services of the Y, I was set up for housing with Catholic Charities. Now, living here gave me a chance to be able to breathe and take care of my children and just feeling safe. With the protection, the cameras, the locks on the doors. Some people might think that's too much, but for somebody who's been through abuse and there's perpetrators who like to get in, it made us feel safer for the children and for us. Also, I was able to put my youngest into Head Start just across the parking lot, which was awesome because that's close. And as a person who's been through some abuse, we know we like to keep our children close to us. So that opportunity was a blessing. Also, God gave my oldest son the opportunity to do Running Start, which is also just across the street. Amazing, and now currently I feel like I am healed enough to the point where I can excitedly get back into the workforce, which I'm really looking forward to. My heart's desire and passion is to help these beautiful women to find their worth and strength and healing after the abuse. Go get that little number, take it off the door, call it, make that first step because that's how things can change. And don't give up. There is hope. And I just want to let everybody know life does get better. And God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lilia. Marcy, Pablo, would you please join me at the podium?
My name's Marcy, and I'm going to share a little bit of my story. It's not as cool as hers, but. So, trauma changes everyone. It's neither good or bad for me. It's shaped the person that I am today. I was about to lose my home in 2018. My life was slowly falling apart. I was scared to ask for help. My son attended a school retreat and shared our story. He told them we were losing our home. I was working 2 jobs as a caregiver, and I never had time to spend with him. A classmate of his overheard this and went home to her parents and said, "What can we do?" Her parents took that opportunity and decided to help us. A week after that, my son came into my room. Well, he burst into my room and he's like, "Mom, when the phone rings, answer it. Help's arrived." I was like, "What? Okay." I was reluctant at first to accept the help because usually I'm the one helping others. So my son's classmate's father called me up and said, "Here's the time and place and the property for you to show up. Just show up there. We've got you covered." Little did this teenage girl know she just changed all of our lives. The trajectory of our lives changed forever. Catholic Charities' low rent made it possible for me to be able to pursue my dreams. I was able to quit one of my jobs and go back to school. With this, I'm hoping to pursue a career in psychology and finish my schooling and get a doctorate degree. I want to help other people like I've been helped with that degree. I want to change people's lives and transform them as Catholic Charities has done for me. Last week I applied for a job at Precision Home Care. It's a small startup for a chief operations manager. I got the job. With this, I'm hoping to give back to the community. This gift has not only changed my life, but has paved the way for my children as well. My oldest son attended Seattle University and graduated with a bachelor's in computer science. One of my daughters is attending Seattle University right now and plans on becoming a psychologist herself. Another one of my daughters is currently a caregiver and working in an in-home care facility, and I'm planning to hire her once we get started and can hire people. I'm grateful for the fighting chance that Catholic Charities has given me. Without them, I don't think that my children and I would have been able to do this. I was able to work part-time, go to school full-time, and be there for my kids. Because I wasn't able to before, because I was too busy trying to save my home and pay my power bill and my water bill. Too busy trying to pay for the necessary things. And this allowed me to be able to also spend time with my kids and coach my youngest daughter's basketball and softball team. So I'm grateful for the opportunity, and there's a family out there in Spokane that I would like to say thank you to. Without them, I wouldn't be here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lilia and Marcy. Thank you for choosing to be part of Catholic Charities Housing Communities. Thank you for your courage and sharing your stories and of strength and perseverance. I think this really exemplifies the stability that housing can help contribute to someone's lives, and you've really taken advantage of that opportunity and accomplished so much. So thank you for sharing those stories. At this time, it's my great pleasure to introduce Senator Maria Cantwell, who's been a champion of affordable housing and leading that conversation in Congress. Thank you so much, Senator.
Thank you, thank you. Well, oh my gosh, do we need to get this bill passed? If those stories right there weren't enough, I wish I could take you back to Washington, D.C. and have everybody hear what stable housing does for a family, does for economic opportunity, and does for your children. So thank you, both of you, Lilia and Marcy. Thank you so much for sharing those unbelievable stories. And thank you for persevering, really. It's just about persevering. And when somebody else helped you with one essential thing, you were able to persevere. So I want to thank the mayor, obviously, for her leadership and for her support. People don't realize that when she wore that other hat at the Office of Community Development, that they play a big role in affordable housing at the Department of Commerce, so she knows all about it. That's why I know as mayor you're going to keep that going and hit the ground running. Ben, thank you so much for your leadership in your organization. You have been such a leader on these issues, and thank you. Johnny Draxler is here. He does the tax policy on this, but he was loving it when you were going over all those percentages. And there was somebody outside of him that actually understood the mechanics of how this program works, because it is a little bit complicated. But the bottom line is this, that over 95% of the affordable housing that gets built in the United States of America, that's for workforce housing, that's for veterans, that's for our individuals that we just heard, sometimes women fleeing domestic violence, or just the fact that we need more workforce in a particular community. The affordable housing tax credit builds that housing. If you don't have that tax credit, chances are you're not going to get the housing to be built. It's not affordable enough for people to take, developers to take you up on that opportunity. And so that's why, as Ben went over the national numbers, he was so articulate about why this program has built millions of units nationwide. But we've been in a battle for the last several years to say that we need to increase this number significantly. The Cantwell Young proposal was by 50%, because we have not been keeping pace with the demand. We have not built enough supply. I want to applaud Catholic Charities and thank you for being here, Jonathan, and your leadership. Catholic Charities, you find these partners in communities that help make the tax credit work. And Catholic Charities has had a very keen eye on the needs of Spokane and has built many successful projects. And trust me, there are other parts of the state where you would go and they would give their eye teeth to have a Catholic Charities or another partner as aggressively building units as you guys are. But we're here today too because there's one thing that's really apparent, and that is that Spokane is growing, and that puts more pressure on the need for affordable housing. That's why Ben was mentioning that you have a supply of 7,000 units, but you have a waiting list right now of 7,000 people. So that just shows you how many people need that affordable housing. And we could sit here all day and talk about why we didn't build more affordable housing, but we just didn't. A lot of different reasons. The downturn being one of the biggest significant events that happened, took out hundreds of thousands of units of supply that might have been built during that time period. And you think about it, when you don't build supply and you are at this point where it means the difference of having supply or not, for those who are on a very fixed income, it can mean the difference between having a roof over your head and not. And that is why in Spokane, just like the rest of Washington State, we have to be very vigilant about building more supply. And so it is important that we call members of Congress and the Senate and say, please get this bill passed. Now the good news is the Cantwell-Young bill got amended, parts of it, onto a bill that did pass the House of Representatives. So the easy part should be getting it out of the Senate. But we have to get our House colleagues and senators demanding that the bill be brought up and not wait until after November. I think some people think, well, this bill attached to other policy, it could wait. It can't wait. These stories can't wait. These children in the back can't wait. We need this to pass now. Mother Teresa Haven is a perfect example. And they have received 70% of their total project cost, 9% from the low-income credit, and made housing affordable for 48 families in West Spokane. And like these properties, Mother Teresa Haven continues to take care of its residents after they've moved in with a comprehensive system of counseling, case management, childcare, healthcare services, and obviously close by education, which is such a tremendous aspect of this particular community. And you just heard stories about how people are working to re-enter the workforce, start a business, and build a community. So housing is critical to all of that. When River Family Haven is completed nearby, another 72 families will have a place to call home. And so these revitalized neighborhoods, they increase the opportunities for education and boosting income of residents. And we know that housing, as the mayor said, is also stimulative. So this investment stimulates our economy. The developers who may be here or the workforce they employ to build it, it's almost like the tax credit pays for itself in the amount of economic development that's created in building the housing and giving more opportunity. Well, we know this, that our economy nationwide is still feeling the impacts of inflation. And what is one of the biggest factors in inflation? 1/3 of the consumer price index and climbing is housing. And so things like this, building more affordable housing, also helps us address the inflationary costs that so many families see. Housing accounted for more than 2/3 of all inflation, the largest driver of the 3.1 inflation rate. So when housing costs go up, so does inflation. So as I said, we have a solution. It's very close, but we really need to push it over the top. It's like we're kind of right there on the bottom of Doomsday Hill. We just need to get over the top. We need a little extra boost here to get over the top of Doomsday Hill. So we need to do our part. And if we do, we will build over 200,000 new units nationwide in the next 2 years. And we will build 7,000 additional units to the 10,000 we would normally be building here in Washington State over the next 2 years. So that would be a real boost into the arm of our state, to these residents, to our economy and families. I thank my Republican colleague Todd Young from Indiana for helping introduce this legislation. We have over 248 members of Congress, nearly half of the entire Congress sponsored this legislation, an equal number of Republican and Democrats, so this is a bipartisan issue. And now we just need the Senate to do its job and to work together to say to people, we need to get this done now. So I want to thank everybody for being here today and sharing their stories. I know sometimes these stories are not easy to share, but they do represent a story about a way to a better path. And really, as many people have always said, you can't solve most problems if you don't have a roof over someone's head. And building more affordable housing is gonna solve a lot of problems by putting a roof over someone's head. Thank you very, very much. Questions, is that what we do, or what?
So it sounds
Oh.
like all of our media folks are gonna join us across the street for the unit tour. It's okay if we hold off until then and do pool sides out there. Does that work for folks?
Yeah.
Excellent,
Where's that?
okay.
Okay,
Perfect.
let's go.
Great.
So it was a double bump because, it's been a long time since I've been
How long you here?
it's,